Are you tired of feeling overwhelmed, undervalued, and stuck in your career? Are you ready to transform your project management game and lead your team to success like never before? If so, then you need to listen to today's episode right now. In this episode, we're diving into insider tips that every successful project manager needs to know, from mastering decision making to handling conflicts within the team. These time tested tactics will really truly help you navigate the challenges and achieve your project goals. So, if you're with me, stick around because you don't want to miss these actionable, tactical steps that could change your career forever. Let's get started. If you're new to the episode, I go by the name of ED. For all you smart and intelligent folks out there, that just simply means it. I have an 8 point framework, and these 8 points, my goal, my job is to unpack today's episode, which is entitled Project Management Skills to Succeed in as a project manager within an organization. I'm giving you these insider tips. Let's go ahead and jump into it. But I want to share a story with you real quick, family. One of the reasons why I truly believe that having these skills that we're going to discuss here, it really, there's certain things that are not talked about. You know, my mentor would say, he would say, well, when you're having conversations with somebody, what are they not telling you? And that is the biggest thing. So, as a project manager, project coordinator, whatever your role is, you have to understand what is the business, what are your stakeholders not telling you. There are some cultural norms that are not shared publicly within the organization, but you just need to pick up on them and know. So the first point that we're going to talk about, point number one, is understanding organizational culture. I've watched a lot of amazing, great project managers fail at this first point. Message, that means that this point is so very important. The reason why this is important is because of the fact that is that if you make an incorrect move, you can really turn your stakeholders off to a point that they're not even going to want to connect with you and give you and deliver the work. What are you talking about, ED? Understanding a culture in which maybe there may be certain ways that how you need to handle things, and you need to understand about how to handle them. Okay, that's too vague. Here, let me give it to you straight and direct, and no chaser. This is the direct, what I mean and I'll be direct with this. The ability to understand when you're in a meeting that maybe the cultural norm is that you're supposed to engage each of the stakeholders on a meeting. So let's use this as an example. Let's say you have three stakeholders on your meeting, on your call, and you're wrapping up the call, but you do not ask a probing question at the end and asking each individual, hey, is there any questions, concerns, or comments that you have based on the information we discussed today? Or is there anything else you want to make known regarding this project? If you don't go to each person, it may be a culture norm that they're used to you calling on them and you leading them instead of them feeling more comfortable and having a, coming off mute and having a conversation. So that's just really a good example. It's very broad, but what I'm saying is you need to understand and learn about the organizational value norms as well as their practice. That's an actionable step, but here's a tactic. Tailor your project management approach to fit the organizational culture. So many people get this wrong as project manager, and they can be amazing. They can run circles around some project managers that I've seen coming up in my career, but they don't get this piece right. None of the things that we discuss here today or you ever learn will matter. So understand the importance of aligning your project management approach to fit the organizational culture. Let's move on to point number two. This is the most important thing. This is what I talk about, and I'm getting my book, the magnetic project manager. Having the ability to communicate clearly and effectively is going to be key. What happens in communication when people don't understand what is going on? Meaning, the ability to have clear communication avoids misunderstanding and it keeps everyone informed. There's no such thing as a project manager of over communicating. If someone has told you that, they've misled you, because as a project manager, this is one of our top three skill set. If you're unable to articulate where the project is at, where the project is going, where if there's some risk issues, if we're having issues with stakeholders that are not being committed, they're just interested in the project, how do we remove those people? So all I'm saying is using communication tools and techniques that suit your team's performance. This is a huge tactic that I just shared with you, because we as project managers, sometimes you'll see people, and I'm probably gonna, I won't stay on my soapbox too long, but our job is to facilitate. And when we're facilitating, we cannot allow people to try and lead and manage a project through email. When you start seeing email communication going back and forth, maybe one or two emails, but after that, you need to cut that off and say, "Hey guys, I'm going to schedule a call so we can walk through this, and then I'll recap what we discussed." Because again, communication is with regards to email, meaning text, can be misconstrued. I could be communicating one thing as the sender, but as the receiver, you may assume that I am saying something different, whether it's good or bad. So we as project managers, we have to ensure that we find a medium that is a preference for the actual for our actual team that we're leading. Point number three: negotiation skills. I always said, and I keep saying this, I need to write a book around negotiation and persuasion. The reason why is that a lot of times as project managers, we don't. Some of them don't understand the importance of negotiating. You may have to negotiate for a resource. You may have to negotiate your stakeholders to buy in. Especially that is so key about having to get stakeholders to buy in, because they may say, "Oh man, I don't want to do the new thing because the new thing, the old thing is already working. Why we got to do this new thing?" And you go back and forth with them for a while, and eventually you get them on board. But having that ability to negotiate with them to help them understand the importance of really truly understanding why this project makes sense to do. So in order to do that, here's a tactical step: leverage your active listening and collaborative approach during the negotiation. As my grandma would say, "Boy, you got two ears and one mouth." So what does that tell you? I probably need to listen more than I talk when I'm during the negotiation, because they may tell me something. Well, they will tell you something that is very important that they're needing, and you're trying to give them something that they don't need. So how do we work through this particular negotiation? So again, active listening and taking a collaborative approach during the actual negotiations. Let's move on to point number four: develop a conflict resolution skill. I know a lot of people don't like conflict. I understand that. But when you get in this thing that I love, that I hope you fall in love with, called project management, you're going to have to get used to conflicts. I'm sorry. I wish I could say it any different. I wish I could sugarcoat it for you. But conflicts happen a lot on projects. And the reason why these conflicts happen is just like what I stated earlier. This is a new endeavor. And a lot of times people do not like change. And because they do not like change, they will disrupt your meetings. They will disrupt your project. They will find ways to disrupt things within the team. And so you have to have the ability, you have to have the courage, but yet keeping it professional and addressing those people. Whether and approach to do that, family, is to schedule a one-on-one meeting with that individual. This is a key tactic. If someone is disrupting your project, schedule a one-on-one meeting just to understand why. What is going on? Talk to me, help me understand it. And if you guys are unable to talk that out, the next step is bring their manager in. If that doesn't work, now you're going straight to the sponsor after that point, because there's no point of us going back and forth with a stakeholder that does not want to be there. And if they don't want to be there and they don't understand the value that they can bring to the project and the value that we're going to get out of the project, we need to allow them to move to somewhere that will be suitable for them. Point number five: build a supportive team environment. I cannot say this enough, family. The importance of building a supportive team environment truly enhances the team morale. And watch this: the productivity. See, when you build a team environment where they know that you got their back, there will be more willing to do things as far as from a productive standpoint, from a collaborative standpoint. They will bring problems to the group and say, hey group, this what my thinking was. I would love for the team to, poke holes at it and see if there's any alternative solutions that will be a better choice, or excuse me, better decision for us to go with. Here's a amazing tactic, and it's just really about creating opportunities for team bonding and mutual support. Is going to be huge because, again, family, one thing about stakeholders is they are the, as they would say, the bread and butter of the actual project. If you do not have these resources to support you, you will not have the success that you think you could have or know you could have. Let's move on to point number 6. Develop choice making. Oh, I'm sorry. Develop decision making skills. I did that on purpose. The reason why I did is because as a project manager, we can't make choices. It is not in our DNA as a project manager to make choices. We have to make decision. And when we make a decision, this is what we're going to move forward with until the decision that we find out during the journey that, hey, that decision that we made is not going to be appropriate. So we need to shift and make a new decision. But we are not making choices. Here's a really good point, or a good tactic that you could leverage, is implement decision-making frameworks. We know what a SWOT analysis is, a decision tree. But the more decisions that you can make, and if you have an opportunity, see if you can make these decisions based off a data-driven approach. If you do not have data, then you're going to have to make the best decision that you can and make these decisions work. Because again, family, you don't want to fall victim to making choices. That's why a lot of times projects can get off course, whether you're making a choice if, is the scope okay? Instead of making a decision and saying this is what the scope is, we all collectively agree. Unless as we're moving down the project, and we notice that there's a shift or new information is being brought in and it makes sense, we will make that decision to make a change and go through the change management process in order to make this new decision. Let's move on to point number 7. The biggest thing here as a project manager, I know it says project manager, but enhance your leadership skills. We are leaders, family. I don't know how to say it any way different, but strong leadership really inspires and guides your team to success. They need to know that they can count on you. If they bring something to you, and if you're unable to solve it, you need to be able to find resources that can assist us in solving the problem. A lot of times we can get caught up in the titles of things instead of understanding the importance of being able to be the best servant leader we can to our team. Because again, only reason why we're there is really to facilitate, is to communicate, is to enhance. We're there to bring value to the team. We can't get caught up in it. It's about us as a project manager or project coordinator. No, it's not about us. It's about the team. The team is the most important thing. And with the team in place, now you have an opportunity to have success. Let's move on to point number 8. Align projects with organizational goals. One of the things that I love doing is ensuring that the team understands why we're doing this. Why are we doing this project? And being able to take any type of organizational goals and show them the value of why this is important to the organization. Now at this time, they have an understanding what the ask is, what we're looking for, and there's no way of them pushing back to say, well, they still might push back, let's be honest. But if we have the ability to regularly communicate how this project contributes to the broader scale of things with regards to organizational goals, they may have a little flexibility with them because they're like, okay, these are the organizational goals. This makes sense of why we're actually doing this particular project. So family, here's my bonus for you for today, which is this is a skill. Yes, this is a huge skill. Having the ability to promote knowledge sharing. I see a lot of project managers with it, just irritates and frustrates me at times. And I miss these moments in my early career of project management where we used to have what they call knowledge sharing sessions. They called it so many different things. That's the one I remember now. But knowledge sharing sessions in which basically when you finished a project, you would basically take your lessons learned register that you've been working on throughout the entire project, and you would kind of recap at a very high level what was some of the biggest challenges that you were up against and how you resolved them and things of that nature. So I challenge you, family, is where if you're able to get with connect with other project managers, do it, because they will be able to give you, especially if they've been at the organization for a while, connect with them. Even new project managers coming in, because they have a different lens compared to project managers that have already been with the organization for a year or a couple years. So let me give you my three closing remarks, family, and then we'll move on from there. First closing remark, again, understanding organizational culture. As they say, you don't want to be a bull in a china shop. Translation, I know that you got your PMP. I know that you got your CAPM. I know that you have your ACP. You have a master's in this or a bachelor's in this, or you got 30 years of experience. That means nothing. It does mean something, but it doesn't mean nothing as with regards to understanding the organization. How does the organization, do they have a PMO? What is the stage gates? Do they even call them stage gates? What are their process? Do they follow initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, controlling, and closing, or do they do something different? Because I've been in organizations where they don't follow the initiating, the five process groups. They may have initiating, then they may have design, they may have architect. So again, you have to understand how to blend in and still be able to bring your experience and your whether it's book experience or just your professional experience in, and add value to currently what's already in place. Point number two: communicate clearly and frequently. The ability to create, or I should say, to communicate clearly, really again avoids any misunderstandings. Everybody is on the same page. Everybody knows where we're going and why we're going to that particular destination. And point number three, my last and final one, is the ability to negotiate, or negotiating skills. Again, when you are leading projects, there's going to be times where people are going to try to take your resources. You're like, what? Yes, they will try to take your resources, especially if they're exceptional resources. Those resources are going to be stretched thin. So you have to have the ability to negotiate and find ways to get them on board and stay on board. Or if you have to split time, find ways that make sense for them to split time with regards to um, carving out certain pockets. And if you have to meet with them one on one, I've done so many different ways of having to negotiate with different resources, because they were just exceptional. I couldn't, there's no way around it. So again, family, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I go by the name of ED. Until next time, you know my slogan. I'm out.